They stripped her of her job, her dignity, and her future, all on live TV. But the woman they tried to bury didn't just survive. She studied their rules, mastered their game, and waited. Now she's back, in the same courtroom where they once laughed at her pain. Angela Warren had always believed in the power of education. Raised in a quiet suburb of Atlanta by her grandmother, a retired civil rights activist who taught her the value of knowledge and resilience, Angela grew up surrounded by books, debates, and the firm conviction that black women could change the world. She carried that belief into her career, becoming one of the youngest black educators in her district to win the State Excellence in Teaching Award. Her classroom was electric. Students who were once written off as lost causes came alive under her care. She incorporated black literature into her lessons, organized History from Our Lens projects, and encouraged her students to question, to feel, to speak. Her methods didn't just improve grades, they changed lives, but they also made people uncomfortable, especially the parents who didn't like the idea of their children learning anything outside the sanitized, whitewashed curriculum. It started with whispers. A complaint here, a snide comment there. A father of one student accused her of indoctrinating kids with anti-American ideas because she taught a lesson on redlining. Another parent claimed she was too emotional when she cried reading a poem by Maya Angelou with her 11th graders. Angela shrugged it off, at first. She thought her record and student outcomes spoke for themselves. But then came the parent-teacher conference that changed everything. The Carter family, wealthy, white, and deeply connected, stormed into the meeting room with accusations rehearsed like a courtroom drama. Their daughter, Emily, claimed Angela had made her feel ashamed to be white. Her parents backed it up with printed screenshots from a class slideshow, quotes from James Baldwin, data on school segregation, even an image of a protest sign. Racially charged content, they called it. Angela tried to explain the context, tried to show her lesson plans, but the principal, a man who once praised her for bringing energy to the school, didn't even look at them. Instead, he nodded solemnly and said, "Given the gravity of these concerns, we'll be placing you on administrative leave." News spread like wildfire. Within 48 hours, a local conservative blog ran a hit piece titled, "Woke Teacher Brainwashes Students in Suburban School." Photos of Angela's face, taken from the school's website, were plastered across social media. Her inbox flooded with hate. Strangers called her a threat, a disgrace, a racist. And then came the TV interview. A popular news station invited her to give her side. Desperate to clear her name, Angela went on thinking she'd have a chance to speak her truth. But the segment was a trap. The anchor interrupted her at every turn, framed her as divisive, and ended the piece with a smirk. "We reached out to the school board. They say Miss Warren's future in education is unlikely." That clip went viral. She was done. In a matter of days, Angela lost her job, her reputation, and her peace. No school would hire her, not even for substitute teaching. Her teaching license was suspended pending a full investigation, which of course never actually concluded. No charges were filed, no misconduct proven, but that didn't matter. Her name had been dragged through the mud. The stain stuck. Angela moved back into her grandmother's house, a small two-bedroom on the south side, and stopped leaving the house. For months, she didn't speak to anyone. The pain wasn't just from the betrayal, it was from the silence of those who once praised her. Former colleagues vanished. Parents of the kids she helped went quiet. No one defended her. No one stood up. But then, something unexpected happened. One day, while watching a courtroom drama with her grandmother, something they used to do when Angela was little, she heard her say, "If they can twist words to break you, baby, you can learn to untwist them to fight back." It was just a sentence, but it cracked something open. Angela began to read again. This time not literature or pedagogy, but law, civil rights cases, wrongful termination, free speech in public schools. Every night she studied, made notes, watched trials online. Her anger didn't fade. It focused. She didn't want revenge. She wanted the tools to dismantle the system that allowed her to be crushed without consequence. She enrolled in a local law school under a scholarship for adult students and never looked back. 3 years later, she graduated top of her class. Her professors described her as relentless, brilliant, and impossible to intimidate. She took the bar, passed, and joined a small but fierce legal firm dedicated to defending marginalized educators and fighting systemic bias in public institutions. She didn't seek the spotlight. She wanted results. Until one day, the past knocked on her door again. The firm received a case. A young black teacher named Naomi Ellis had been fired from a charter school after being accused of creating racial division for discussing police brutality during a current events unit. The story was almost identical. The same type of parents, the same language in the accusation letter, the same silence from administrators. Angela felt the chill crawl up her spine. Then she saw the name of the school's lawyer, Bradley and Hines, the same firm that represented the district when she was forced out. She asked to take the case. Her senior partner hesitated. "This might get personal." Angela looked him straight in the eyes. "It already is." When the court date arrived, Angela walked into that courtroom like a storm in heels. Confident, poised, and wearing the same necklace her grandmother had gifted her before passing, a small silver book with the word truth engraved inside. She sat at the plaintiff's table beside Naomi, calm and unreadable. Across the room, at the defense table, sat the lawyer who once dismissed her case without looking up from his phone. The same man who told the press, "This woman's teaching methods border on indoctrination." He didn't recognize her. Not yet. But he would. And so would the judge. The same judge who allowed her hearing to be broadcast without her consent. The same one who chuckled when the school's lawyer mocked her teaching style as emotional storytelling. Angela's eyes never wavered. This time she wasn't the accused. This time she came prepared to tear the silence apart, word by word, lie by lie. If you're still watching, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Stories like this deserve to be heard, and trust me, you're going to want to see what Angela does next. The fight is just beginning. The courtroom was packed. Reporters from 2 local outlets were seated near the back, their cameras discreet for now, but their presence impossible to ignore. A few former students of Angela's had shown up, though she hadn't invited them. Word travels. Especially when a black woman walks back into the same courtroom where her voice was once silenced. The judge, a silver-haired man named Robert Langston, adjusted his glasses and scanned the room. When his gaze landed on Angela, a flicker of recognition flashed across his face, then faded, masked by the practiced neutrality of his robe. Angela remained composed, every word, every breath measured. She wasn't here to relive her trauma. She was here to expose the system that tried to erase her and protect a new generation from the same fate. Naomi sat beside her, eyes wide and nervous. Angela placed a steady hand over hers. "You're not alone. I promise," she whispered. The trial began with the opposing counsel, a smug man named Peterson, painting Naomi as radical, unstable, and inappropriately political in her pedagogy. He used phrases like inflammatory material and unfit for an academic setting. He showed the court a slideshow of Naomi's classroom, posters of Angela Davis, quotes from Audre Lorde, statistics on incarceration rates by race. Then he did something familiar. He smirked. Angela had seen it before, the same smirk he wore when he scoffed at her in a hearing years ago. Now it was aimed at Naomi. The old anger stirred, but this time Angela channeled it like a scalpel, not a flame. When it was her turn, Angela stood with grace and precision, her voice clear, unwavering. "Ms. Ellis did what every great educator should do. She told her students the truth, not just the safe truth, but the whole truth." Peterson interrupted. "Objection." "Overruled," said Judge Langston, eyes still on Angela. She continued, laying out Naomi's qualifications, the curriculum standards, and the hypocrisy of punishing teachers for telling the truth, only when the truth makes the wrong people uncomfortable. She presented precedents, cited district policies, exposed email chains that showed administrators scrambling to appease wealthy donors rather than address facts. But then came the moment no one expected. Angela called a surprise witness. A former student of hers, Jordan Pierce, now 22, clean-cut, dressed in a suit and tie. He took the stand. "I wouldn't be here if it weren't for Ms. Warren," he said. "She taught me to think critically, to ask questions. She made me believe I could be more than what this world told me I was." Peterson objected. "Irrelevant testimony." Angela countered. "It goes to pattern, Your Honor. This court silenced one teacher for being brave. Now it's trying to do it again. But this time her legacy speaks for itself." The judge paused, visibly uncomfortable. "I'll allow it," Jordan continued. "When they fired her, we all saw it. Every black kid in that school knew what it meant. Tell the truth, and they'll shut you up. But seeing her here today, it means we don't have to stay quiet anymore." The silence in the room was deafening. Angela let it breathe. Then came cross-examinations, more objections, more attempts to twist the narrative. But the defense was losing control. Their witness, Naomi's principal, admitted under oath that he'd received pressure from 2 concerned donors to remove her. Emails proved that the school board had no formal policy against discussing social justice topics. The case, which once seemed stacked against Naomi, was unraveling by the hour. Then came Angela's closing argument. She stood in front of the jury, composed of a diverse group of citizens, black, white, Latino, young, older. Her eyes locked on theirs one by one. "There's a saying my grandmother used to tell me," she began. "They'll try to erase your name before they erase your body. Don't let them succeed." This case isn't just about one teacher. It's about every black woman who dared to educate beyond the script. Every educator who chose truth over comfort. Every student who deserves more than silence. She paused, letting the weight of her words hang. Ms. Ellis didn't fail this school. This school failed her. "And now you have the chance to show that truth still matters." Angela stepped back. The courtroom was still. No rustling papers, no whispered chatter. Just reverence. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. Angela didn't pace. She sat quietly, her fingers wrapped around the edge of her grandmother's necklace. Win or lose, she had spoken what needed to be said. She had become the woman that frightened them, educated, unyielding, and louder than their lies. When the jury returned, the foreperson stood. "We find in favor of the plaintiff." Naomi's breath caught in her throat. Angela closed her eyes for a second, then opened them and nodded. The judge banged his gavel. The room exhaled. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Microphones were shoved into Angela's face. "How does it feel to win? What's next? Do you plan to take on more cases like this?" She smiled, calm and unwavering. "I'm not here for revenge," she said. "I'm here for restoration, of dignity, of truth, of legacy." And then from behind the crowd came a voice. "Ms. Warren?" She turned. It was Emily Carter, the girl whose parents had led the crusade to destroy her. Now in her 20s, dressed simply, eyes filled with something Angela hadn't expected. Shame. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. For everything. I didn't understand back then. I was scared of what they told me to be scared of. But I see it now." Angela didn't respond immediately. She studied the girl who had once unknowingly helped ignite her fall. "You don't owe me an apology," Angela finally said, "but I hope you make sure no one else ever goes through what you helped me go through." Emily nodded, tearful, and faded back into the crowd. Later that evening, Angela returned home and sat in her grandmother's old chair, the courtroom victory still echoing in her ears. She pulled out a folder marked Future Cases, names of educators across the country who had reached out to her in secret, hoping someone might finally speak up for them. She would. Because now, the world wasn't just watching her fall. They were witnessing her rise.